Chapter 8. The Jump to Superstar. After True Love, 2 movies pushed Brad from star to superstar. First, he made Legends of the Fall with Anthony Hopkins. Like A River Runs Through It, Legends of the Fall is a big family story. Again, the country is beautiful, and we are in Montana. The 2 movies won awards for the beautiful camera work. And again, Brad is the beautiful son with problems. Legends made a lot of money and moved Brad into the top class of Hollywood actors. Now people bought tickets for every movie with Brad in it. Brad went to the first night with all of his family on December 25th, 1994. They loved the movie. It was a great Christmas. After Legends, Brad made Interview with the Vampire. Interview has great actors. Tom Cruise, Lestat, Christian Slater, Antonio Banderas, and a great story by Anne Rice. But there were problems with the movie. Anne Rice didn't want Tom Cruise in the starring role. River Phoenix had an important role, but he died 2 weeks after filming began. Brad was very tired after Legends, and his role, Lewis, was difficult and depressing. Brad says, "I hated doing this movie. Hated it. But I loved watching it. Lewis was always sad. 5.5 months of that was too much." One newspaper story said, "Tom Cruise and Brad aren't happy together." But they were. They had fun with their ugly wall. They made funny faces, and first Tom and then Brad took photos. Then they put the photos on their wall so everybody could see them. When Anne Rice saw the movie, she loved it. She also loved Brad and Tom Cruise in it. She wrote about the movie in a 2-page advertisement in a Hollywood newspaper. Interview made $38,700,000 in the first 3 days in movie theaters, and more than $100 million from tickets in the United States. Chapter 9. 2 of Brad's best movies. Now Brad was a bigger star. He made a lot of money from each movie, and everybody knew his name. His face was everywhere. In 1995, People, a very big magazine in the United States, gave him an award. He was the sexiest man in the world. And next, he made 2 more superstar movies. The director, Ron Howard, wanted Brad for Apollo 13, but Brad wanted the role of a young detective in a much smaller movie. The name of the movie is 7, because it is about 7 ugly days in a big, angry, loud city. Brad has to find a dangerous killer. This man kills 7 people. Brad did the dangerous running, jumping, and fighting in the movie. He ran across the tops of cars in the rain. He went through a car window and cut his arm very badly. But he didn't stop working. Everything was too exciting. The other actors in the movie were exciting too. Morgan Freeman and Kevin Spacey had important roles, and Gwyneth Paltrow played Brad's wife. This was a small role, but she was very big in Brad's real life. She was his next serious girlfriend. Brad met Gwyneth about 2 months before she got the role in 7. He says, "I saw her and it was love. No question about it." Gwyneth says, "It was love. I remembered him from Thelma and Louise. He was beautiful in that movie. Brad is intelligent, kind, and funny. He loves his family and he likes dogs. That's usually a good thing in people. Seven surprised everybody. It made $13 million in the movie theaters in its first weekend. It was the biggest movie in the United States in the fall of 1995. Brad also made 12 Monkeys with Bruce Willis in 1995. Brad plays Jeffrey Goins, a sick young man in a hospital for crazy people. Before he began work on the movie, Brad went to a real hospital for 2 weeks. There he talked to people with serious problems. He also changed his famous eyes from blue to brown. The director, Terry Gilliam, said, "Brad is crazy, funny, and wonderful in 12 Monkeys. He's more dangerous than he looks." 12 Monkeys made a lot of money, and Brad won the Golden Globe Award for his acting. After these 6 big movies, the future looked very exciting. Brad was one of the busiest stars in Hollywood. Chapter 10. Life as a Superstar. In April 1995, Brad and Gwyneth went to London for the opening of Legends of the Fall. Everybody wanted the story about their romance, and all of the newspapers wanted photos of them. Brad told the newspapers, "I am very, very happy. I'm in love." But there were problems, too. Brad and Gwyneth had little time away from the cameras and newspaper writers. They went to the Caribbean for a vacation. They swam and sat in the sun without any clothes. When they saw their photos in newspapers and magazines everywhere, Brad felt very angry. He didn't want the world to know everything about him. Teenage girls wrote letters to Brad about love. One said, "Dear Brad, my name is Melissa, and I really love you. I have your picture on my wall, and I look at you all of the time. I hate Gwyneth. You are too good for her. Forget her. I know you really love me. Please write to me today." Brad got tired of this kind of crazy love from strangers. He wanted the real thing with Gwyneth. On December 18th, 1995, Brad was 32 years old. He says, 1995 was a wonderful year. He made some strong, exciting movies, and he met Gwyneth. After his birthday, he went to Missouri. He always goes there for Christmas with his family. That year, he took Gwyneth with him. But before Brad and Gwyneth left for Missouri together, Brad wanted to say something important to his girlfriend. They drove to a romantic place near Hollywood. They ate and drank. They laughed together. But then Brad got serious. He looked at Gwyneth and quietly asked the most important question. "Will you marry me?" Brad was ready, but Gwyneth wasn't. She says, "Nobody in Hollywood marries at our age and stays married." She was young and wanted to wait. The romance between Brad and Gwyneth didn't end that Christmas. They were together for 2.5 years, and they planned to marry. In 1997, they also had plans for a movie together. But something went wrong, and their romance ended in June of that year. They didn't make the movie together, and Brad never talks about Gwyneth or about the end. Chapter 11. The Real Brad. After 1996, Brad was very busy. Sleepers with Robert De Niro and Dustin Hoffman came out in 1996. The Devil's Own with Harrison Ford and 7 Years in Tibet came out in 1997. Meet Joe Black with Anthony Hopkins came out in 1998, Fight Club in 1999, and Snatch in 2000. Some of these movies weren't as good as Brad's 6 movies between 1993 and 1995. But in each movie, Brad had an interesting role. He always makes a movie exciting. He worked with big stars and interesting directors, and he learned from them. Brad was a superstar, too. He made $17 million for his role in Meet Joe Black. Brad's life changed in 1998. He had a new girl on his arm. He called her My Girl, but her name was Jennifer Aniston. She is Rachel on the American TV program Friends. Brad and Jennifer were very careful about their romance. They didn't want their photos in the newspapers. They didn't talk to people about their life together. But they looked very happy. They liked the same things: a lot of music, quiet nights at home, and fun with friends. Jennifer went to Missouri and met Brad's family. He met her family, too. Brad said, "Nothing is more important than love." On July 29th, 2000, 200 of Brad and Jennifer's friends and family met at Malibu in California for an expensive, exciting, and romantic evening. There were 50,000 flowers, a lot of music, and wonderful food. They watched Brad marry his girl. Jennifer wore a beautiful white dress and arrived with her father. One friend says, "There was a big smile on Brad's face all evening. Everybody was happy for them. It was a great party." The future looks interesting for Brad Pitt. He is happy at home with a smart, beautiful wife. And his acting gets better and better. He looks for interesting, sometimes strange movies. He can do almost anything. One director says, "Everybody wants Brad Pitt. He's one of the biggest stars in the world today. Women love him and like him, too. And he's a man's man. Men want to be his friend." Is the real Brad Pitt crazy, dangerous, angry, and sexy? It's a difficult question. But people say he is a little crazy, really nice, a lot of fun, intelligent, and yes, very sexy. And Brad? The real Brad stays out of newspapers and magazines as much as possible. He follows the right road for him. He wants to be an actor, not a star. He remembers the lessons of his mother and father. He has his feet on the ground. He enjoys every minute of his life.